more than 100 plants packed into a tiny balcony. So I would like to think that I'm reasonably good at choosing houseplants by now. Apparently, I'm not. Because these are 9 plants I would not buy again for my home. One of them is supposed to be incredibly easy, but I have killed it several times. Another one grows so well that it has become a completely different problem. And the final plant has given me so beautiful leaves but still never became the plant I thought I was buying. These are not bad plants, they simply did not suit my home, my space, or in some cases, my patience. Let me show you what went wrong. My balconies are covered and northeast facing. I get useful morning light, but I don't have a large open outdoor space or strong sunlight throughout the day. So your experience with these plants may be completely different. In fact, some of you will probably be defending these plants in the comments, and that is absolutely fine. This is simply my experience after growing them in my home. Now let's begin with one of the most frequently recommended houseplant, the peace lily. Mine actually looked beautiful in the beginning. It was full, healthy, and even gave me flowers. Then our relationship became slightly dramatic. If I watered it a little late, the entire plant would collapse as though I had abandoned it for 6 months. But if the soil remained wet for too long, I started worrying about the roots. Then came the brown tips, black edges, and progressively smaller leaves. I repotted it, changed its position, and tried to understand exactly what it wanted. But it has never returned to the full, healthy plant I originally brought home. At this point, I watered it, it complains, I adjust something, and then it finds a new reason to complain. People who are very consistent with the watering may have a completely different experience, but for me, the peace lily requires more emotional attention than its reputation suggests. Now, my China doll is a more complicated case because it has not completely failed. In fact, it flowered this year and the flowers are beautiful. But despite that, the plant has never looked as full or as happy as it did when I first bought it. It frequently sheds leaves, continues growing taller, and seems to be constantly asking for a brighter, more open position. The problem is that I simply don't have that kind of space. I think it would look wonderful in a large, bright balcony where it could spread out properly. In my covered balcony, it survives and occasionally surprises me, but it never looks completely comfortable. So, this is not a plant I dislike. It is a plant that seems to have outgrown what my home can offer. The Monstera is the only plant on this list that disappointed me by growing too well. Mine did not struggle, it succeeded aggressively. It quickly filled its pot, produced a large root system, and needed more support. Then it needed a larger pot, a bigger moss pole, and even more room around it. And when you're trying to fit more than 100 plants into a small balcony, one large monstera can occupy the space for several smaller plants. It also starts blocking light from the plants around it. So the problem is no longer only the size of the monstera. It affects the entire arrangement. If you have a bright room with proper floor space, a monstera can be magnificent, but for a smaller, crowded balcony like mine, it eventually becomes less of a house plant and more of a roommate. The first 3 plants were frustrating for very different reasons, but the next few are worse because I knew they had caused problems before, and sometimes I still bought them again. I'm slightly embarrassed to include the jade plant because many of you described it as one of the easiest plant to grow. I have bought it several times. I have also lost it several times. The strangest part is that I can propagate jade cuttings. They root, begin growing, and make me think that this time I have finally understood the plant. Then a few months later, something goes wrong again. I suspect my covered, humid growing conditions and limited direct sunlight are simply not ideal for it. Jade plants may be easy when they receive the right light and airflow, but that combination is difficult for me to provide consistently. Every time I see a healthy jade in a nursery, I become overconfident and think maybe this one will be different. It never is. This plant taught me that there is no universally easy houseplant. A plant is only easy when your growing conditions match what it needs. The bird's nest fern is one of those plants that completely destroys my self-control at the nursery. It looks so fresh, clean and tropical that I immediately begin imagining it in my balcony, and because I apparently do not learn from experience, I have bought it more than once. The story is usually the same. For the first few months, it looks perfectly fine. Then it begins declining slowly. It does not necessarily collapse overnight, which would at least give me a clear problem to solve. It just becomes less attractive, one leaf at a time. Eventually, I realize that I'm spending more time trying to rescue the plant than actually enjoying it. A bird's nest ferns are not always inexpensive, so repeating this experiment becomes a costly habit. I now try to admire them without bringing them home. Calatheas may be some of the most beautiful foliage plants available. Unfortunately, mine always seem to come with an expiry date. They begin with gorgeous colors, patterns, and perfectly shaped leaves. Then one brown edge appears. After that comes another brown edge, followed by crispy tips, curling leaves, and several weeks of me trying to determine what changed. Was it the water? Was it the humidity? Was it the light? I have tried different positions and made an effort to increase humidity, but I could never keep my calatheas looking consistently healthy. Eventually, the plant stopped being something I enjoyed and became a maintenance project. So people grow spectacular calatheas and genuinely admire them. I have simply accepted that I am not one of those people. Now, this one is difficult for me to admit because I genuinely love Alocasia. My Frydek and Alocasia tenderusa have produced some of the most beautiful leaves in my entire collection. But Alocasia also seem to attract trouble. Spider mites appears to love them almost as much as I do, and once one plant has them, I find myself inspecting every Alocasia nearby. The other frustration is the number of leaves. A new leaf begins opening and I get excited because I think the plant is finally becoming fuller. Then an older leaf starts turning yellow. So one leaf arrives, one old leaf leaves, and the plant remains permanently stuck with 2 or 3 leaves. My Frydek has performed better, but most of others have never developed the lush, full appearance I imagined. They are beautiful plants, but I would prefer a plant that spends more time looking healthy than recovering from its latest problem. The Philodendron Birkin is another plant I find difficult to resist because those striped variegated leaves are genuinely beautiful. But this is already my second or possibly the third Birkin, so I think that tells you how well the previous ones went. This one also started struggling in soil, and I only managed to save it by transferring it to water. It is now growing new roots and producing healthy variegated leaves. So clearly it prefers the current arrangement. I will continue caring for the one I already have, but I would not buy another. It is beautiful plant, just not one that seems happy growing normally in my home. And finally, we have the plant I wanted to succeed the most. It's Philodendron Pink Princess. Mine has produced genuinely beautiful pink leaves in past. It has even given me half moon variegation, sometimes almost fully pink leaf. I've kept it under a grow light, pruned it and paid far more attention to it than I give most of my plants, and it does grow, but it never becomes the full balanced thriving specimen that I keep imagining. Every time a new leaf starts opening, I think maybe this will be the leaf that changes everything. Sometimes the color is beautiful, but the overall plant still does not look the way I hoped. I think that is my real problem with this pink princess. I fell in love with the idea of the plant, the perfect pictures, the pink variegation, and the excitement surrounding it. And the actual plant in my home has never quite matched that expectation. Considering the price these plants once commanded and the attention mine required, I don't think I would buy another one. I will continue caring for the one I already have, but I'm officially ending the search for a better pink princess. After making this list, I realized that most of these plants did not really fail. The match failed. They were not suitable for my light, my watering habits, or the amount of maintenance I was willing to provide. And that is something I wish I had considered more carefully when I first started buying houseplants. Before buying a plant because it looks beautiful in a nursery or because somebody calls it easy, it is worth asking, do I have the right light for it? Do I have enough space when it becomes mature, or can I maintain the watering routine it needs? And am I actually willing to deal with its usual problems? The best plant is not necessarily the rarest or most fashionable one. It is the plant that remains happy in the conditions you can realistically provide. Now, I want to hear from you which supposedly easy house plants simply refuses to cooperate in your home. Tell me in the comments. I have a feeling some plants are going to be mentioned repeatedly, and if you want to see the opposite, the plant that actually do fit into this tiny balcony, you can watch my video about how I fitted more than 100 plants into this space. I'll see you there.